Okay, Sspopiikimi, good morning. It is about an hour after dawn on Monday, March 19th, 2018, in the first sliver of the lunar cycle Sspopiikimi, the duck moon. So called because this is when the waterfowl are going to start mating and laying their eggs. Just down at Sspopiikimi this morning, hoping to catch sight of a blue heron that I observed here yesterday. I was out with students, my usual Sunday morning walk out here, and there was a great blue heron, the first one back this season. And normally, going into this lunar cycle, there'd be a bit more open water than there is right now. Here at the pond, the only real open water there is way at the south end in the spring. There's been quite a few mallards hanging out over there, and then another shallow area upstream, just kind of below my neighborhood, where there's some access for the heron to get food. But I'm really curious to see if I can encounter him again today. He was up on one of the tops of the trees, the cottonwoods and the golf greens here yesterday, and then I didn't see him until he was already spooked by me, and he flew off, landed in the forest canopy. But yeah, things are a little bit behind climate-wise this year compared to a normal year. It's still snowing this morning, and we have a lot of snow accumulation, and still a lot of ice even on the river. The river doesn't have anywhere near the kind of open water that it has had previous years by the time we come into this lunar cycle. So I'm expecting a lot of birds to start showing up here from the migration, and finding the conditions not exactly optimal. Any case, take a walk around this morning and see what we can see. Got a family of geese out here on the wetlands. This is different behavior than I'd expect this time of year, given that we're less than 2 weeks away from the full moon, which is when they'll be laying their eggs and caching them. Right now, what I'm looking for, what would be typical, is to see just mostly couples around the pond, goose couples, and a lot of squabbling, a lot of fighting over the available nesting islands and nooks, peninsulas, and these kind of things. The geese like to use islands. They like to separate themselves from the land-based predators by water if they can. And they'll use surrogate islands if they can't. They'll use things like peninsulas. They'll use the anchors of the high-level bridge. They'll even nest in hawk nests and such in the trees on occasion. I found a nest in a big tree stump one time. Anything to kind of remove them from the land-based predators. They still have the airborne predators to worry about. But yeah, this is different behavior than what I'm expecting. I'm also expecting to see goose couples taking high positions and kind of standing. A lot of times they'll stand right on the coulee rims, or you might see them high up on the structure of the high-level bridge, or even up in the canopy of the forest. And they'll take a perch on the high position, a couple standing together, and they'll stand there for an hour or two, just kind of, I don't know what they're up to. I always see the behavior though just before the nesting, and I don't know if they are displaying for other geese. I don't think so, because typical, goose display, they also involve a lot of vocals. So my other thoughts are that maybe they're surveying the area, looking to see if that's an area that they'd like to nest. Are there good nesting islands? What are the dangers there? What are the what are the opportunities and such. A lot of times, you know, geese, especially along the river, they'll find places, islands and stuff to nest, but then they also have to find short grass areas to take their goslings to after they're born, because the geese don't like to be in the normal riparian environment down here. The reason why so many geese nest here on the wetlands, well, the wetlands is kind of a short grass environment where they, you know, what they're looking for is an area where they can feed, and the gander standing sentinel is able to stand tall and see predators coming around them, right? So this is why they like golf courses and stuff like this. They're designed for the tundra, and that's part of their defenses. So it could be when they're standing up there on their high positions, they're looking at their potential nesting areas, and then where they're gonna bring the goslings, you know, after the hatching. I don't know. These are just some of my ideas, but they're doing something up there. Haven't seen the behavior yet this year, and like I say, it's odd to even see these guys hanging out together so close at this point when we're very near to the Easter moon. Out here on the wide South Pool, the geese are behaving more like they should be, or more like I'd expect. There's a couple here, a couple here, I believe somewhere's over here. There's a couple somewhere like in here. Hard to see through my viewfinder. And on the wet meadows, there's a couple. And they're not being close to each other. In fact, if I was to stick around here for the day, I would most assuredly see some gander fights. Because they'll be happening anytime any of these geese get just a little bit crossing the invisible line of territoriality. There's a brawl. So yeah, this is more normal, but it's still going to be interesting to see whether the egg laying's actually going to start on time. It always has, but the conditions this year are pretty weird, so we'll see. Yeah, and just quickly heading over here to check out the spring, see if the ducks are around or if the heron happens to be there. I'm getting the sense that I might not encounter the heron today. I don't know what it is, an intuition or something, but I should still probably go upstream and check the little bit of open water up there before I give up. Oh yeah, there's some mallards over here at least. I've noticed there's a bit of pheasant activity as I walk the west length there. 3 different male pheasants made long flights around the wet meadows, the golf greens. Yeah, it just reminded me that not far behind the goose eggs will come the pheasant eggs and the magpie eggs. Even before the mallards, I believe, the pheasants and the magpies will be sitting theirs. So that's going to be coming up. The pheasants here, the ringneck pheasants, they like to nest in the kind of tall grass areas, some in the buckbrush a little bit. So just down here I've found nests before. I've never observed their mating dances, if they have mating dances. Like I've seen the sharp-tailed grouse do theirs, and it's quite impressive. In fact, it's the inspiration for the prairie chicken dance in First Nations powwows. That came from the Blackfeet, actually. But I've never seen the pheasants, and I imagine they must have some kind of mating ritual. Never see the pheasants or the gray partridge, for that matter, both of whom are here at Sspopiikimi. Anyway, let's go quickly check out the spring and see what's going on over there. Okay, here's the situation at the spring. I just have the mallards who've been here for about the last week or so. I'm expecting American widgeons to show up here anytime. Well, I should just say widgeons because every once in a while they have a Eurasian in the group with them. They're usually the earliest of the returning waterfowl, and then it'll just come one after the other after that. A big wave. Well, we'll see the swans. The swans actually are often the first, then the widgeons, and then you start seeing everybody. Pintails, you know, shovelers, all the teals will start coming in. It's a excited goose. All right, let's go upstream and check that shallow water there. Like I said, for some reason, just being out here, I don't feel the presence of the heron, but I'd love to be proven wrong. Sspopiikimi, the speckled duck or spotted duck, common goldeneye, male. He's been kind of hiding. Surprised he's not flying away, but he had moved through these, kind of behind these choke cherries, keeping them as a shield between me and him as I walked up here. This is the area that I was thinking of that might have the heron, but what I'm seeing is mostly just goose couples. The river has thawed out quite a bit, even from what it was when I visited yesterday. It didn't look like this. We only had this kind of open water, this little stream here. And that stream is coming out of a kind of a storm drainage that empties in the forest there. I'm not going to go that far. The heron could be up in there, but I really don't think he is. I just have the suspicion now that this was just a stop-off point on the migration that he was on, and yeah, he was just here for a rest before he took flight again. But we will be seeing lots of others. In fact, as I was walking up, I wasn't able to spot one, but as I was walking up this way, I could hear killdeer somewhere. So there's killdeer who have returned, and I was aware of that already because some other birders have been reporting it. And folks just from the nature center across the river. So not surprising, but I'd like to see one myself. Say that's the first of the season. But yeah, killdeer, any day now. In fact, I thought they'd be here already. Any day now should have the ring-billed gulls showing up, and not far behind them, the American white pelicans. So but as I said, things are a little bit different ice-wise this year. All right. Well, during that walk through the forest, I saw one large porcupine who's been in there about 2 weeks now. Didn't see his partner. And I observed a raven flying overhead. But not much else. Not much else. So my expectations for what I might encounter today out here kind of weren't met, but that's all right. You never know, like day to day and hour to hour out here, who you're gonna encounter. And especially this time of year as the migration's going on. I did want to note that in the forest for the 3rd day in a row now, no sign of the white-tailed deer. So yeah, the whitetails may now be abandoning, which wouldn't surprise me. As it shifts into summer, you know, things get pretty busy down here with visitors and stuff, park visitors, as the weather gets better. And I very rarely see deer down here for much of the summer. Toward fall, I start seeing more of them showing up, even when it's still kind of busy down here, as we go kind of more toward the rut season. But yeah, I don't know. So the white-tailed deer may be gone. And what else? I guess that's, unless I encounter anything more, that's probably it for this video and this visit. But I'll be back again probably Thursday. I like to make a visit on Thursday, and we'll see what's shaking then.